KJTN, place for critical rationalism for ideal natural spiritual balance. Welcome home. Many teachings have complicated the simple truths. Here, we make the complicated simple. If you know the truth shall set you free. Hello and good morning. This is Joash Otieno. Let us talk about why lovers kill lovers. Why couples kill each other. I am going to approach this from a scientific point of view or scientific eye. Welcome and let us proceed. So, what is love? This is a deep feeling, emotional feeling of attachment between two opposite sex. But love has so many definitions depending with what kind of love you are talking about. But we are going to talk about love between opposite sex or couple. Many people talk about love, and then love is like a ghost, that few really have seen, but is not even have seen experience, but many just talk about it. Many of us yearn to be loved or to fall in love. The love I am talking about is eros, which is erotic love between the opposite sex. As we grow up, it also grows up with us. When we reach an age of self-identification and discovery, we have a deep desire. We develop a deep desire to be hugged, held tight, kissed, be appreciated, be desired. It is a beautiful feeling. It's a mystery. Dr. Wangui Waithima of Nazarene University Counseling Psychology Department says, it is important to understand that falling in love or experiencing it is more than a high that puts people in cloud nine. The emotional brain, the limbic system, through the brain reward system, takes charge, feel good and connecting chemicals as dopamine and oxytocin flood this brain pathway. It makes us excited and wanting to bond more with our newfound love. This experience many times shuts down the thinking brain called the prefrontal cortex. Friends, as Wangui asserts, it is good to fall in love, and as you do, I advise that you carry your brain along. But that is not what always people do. Now, the dopamine, which is a learning neurotransmitter, is a learning neurotransmitter, says it makes you feel this way. You feel good, or you say, this feels good, I want more. And another hormone, which is completely opposite, is called serotonin, is another hormone which says, this feels good, yes, but I don't want or need it anymore. These two neurotransmitters are clearly different and opposite. With this conflict, if you don't have or your thinking brain, which is prefrontal cortex or frontal lobe, as you can also call it, is shut down, then, oh my friend, when this is shut down, you are at risk of getting into love euphoria, which is the same feeling one gets under mood-altering drug like cocaine or bang. Hence, your thinking is not cognitively, is not really good by that time if you are in that in that feeling. In this euphoric world, whatever your loved one or loved one, the one you are in love with, does or says is perfect and tolerable to you. Dr. Wangui says, the commitment for a long-term connectedness in this time and shared goals and plans of the future is top in the relationship agenda. At this point, an individual is not in position to see any red flags of negative behavior. Now, friends, without the thinking brain, which is prefrontal cortex or frontal lobe, we act out of impulses. You go to a supermarket, you buy things that you never planned. But in terms of relationship, we act out of impulses, because the frontal cortex, which is a thinking brain, is the part of our brain that keeps you from being stupid or doing stupid things. If you have a dysfunctional prefrontal cortex, okay, you only live, or you can't see the future, but you will only live for the moment. Now, prefrontal cortex is typically divided into subregions. One is dorsolateral cortex, number 2 is ventromedial cortex, and number 3, orbitofrontal cortex. These areas control many functions like abstract reasoning. That's why some people can draw heaven and angels, yet they have not seen, because that is an abstract thinking that results into that kind of drawing. If you have a problem with this prefrontal cortex, that is not possible. It also, another function is decision making. Helps you to make decision. It also helps you to do things that are goal oriented. You set a goal and you do things towards that goal. This also plays a role in personality expression and creativity. So the above skills are called executive functions. They are higher cognitive processes that helps us control our impulses and act with the long-term consequences in mind. They allow us to interact with others in appropriate ways and adjust our behavior to fit the circumstances. Now, some examples of these executive functions are things like anticipation. You anticipate something because it helps you to think of the future. And when you anticipate, there are some goals you set, and then it helps you with initiation. We also have self-monitoring. So this self-monitoring, you monitor yourself, you keep yourself in check. And whenever you make a mistake, you correct yourself. So when prefrontal cortex is injured, what happens? Okay, here there will be a decrease in most of these functions I have just said. So most of the time, those in love get so attached, and that can develop into a fantasy bond. Now, what is a fantasy bond? This bond is where the partner believes that their partner, who is also another limited human being, can make them whole or is responsible for their happiness, which is an emotional dependency, and most of the time is not realized, or we get disappointed because our expectations, which are high, have not been met. Sometimes deep romantic attachment changes to strong sexual attraction, which makes one to intensely want physical contact right now, like sex, and want it now. I want you to be here now. I want you to hug me now. I want you to hold my hands now. I want you to tell me I love you now. Now, in a true love, mood may change. There is realistic goals, but mood may change. But when you are continually preoccupied your mind with the person, you walk, you think of the person. You are constantly texting, calling, voicemailing, daydreaming. And you do this day and night, regardless of the response or lack of it from the person. These things you are doing because you want more attention and you want affection by any means necessary. If this happens to you or you are doing them, you are in a danger zone. You are no longer in love. You are obsessed. Obsession is a danger zone. So, yes, you need the affection and you need attention, which is equivalent to the reward. you get from a relationship, but when you need it now, without taking many things into consideration, that feeling drives dopamine even faster, hence leading to neuronal cell death. Dopamine and cortisol, cortisol is another hormone. So dopamine and cortisol combined together leads to addiction. Remember, cortisol is a stress hormone. So stress makes you want reward. Less cortisol, fewer receptors, that equals to depression. If you don't get the reward, you start thinking that you don't need the person anymore, or the person does not love you anymore, or she or he is in love with another person and cheating on you. So reward is for the survival of relationships. Okay? Reward is for the survival of relationships. But when reward is in excess, it becomes obsession. And obsession is dangerous. When all these are going on, you may act or just be normal, but family members and those close to you might notice some changes even in the person you love. These changes can be things like blunted emotional response. You simply reply people with the negative feelings and aggressively and bluntly. Sometimes you become more aggressive and irritable. Sometimes you struggle to initiate activities. That's why some people say, I can't cook because I can't stop thinking of you. Okay, there is a normal one which is always a lie, but there is one which is true. You can't take a bath, you can't wash, you can't cook. It is as a result of obsession. There is poor performance of tasks even in the office or your workplace or in class. You can't plan for long term and you can't do easy tasks. There is inflexibility and you are so stubborn and you can't change things. You can't be flexible. So the observations I have just said, if you have observed them on yourself or another person, there is a red flag. Because they show a damage to prefrontal cortex. This damage is what turns human into beasts or animals. And the beast, when you have been turned to beast or animal, you start thinking or saying to yourself, I want her or I want him dead because she's cheating on me or is cheating on me. He can't live with another person. She can't live with another person. So I want him dead. If she can't be with him, she can't reply my messages. Maybe she's with another person. Want him dead now. And I don't care about what will come next, you tell yourself. When you start to feel or you are nursing this new feeling and it starts to make you feel good, because you say, when I kill her, I will feel good because there is nothing that will be bringing me stress. Be aware, my friend. This means dopamine is being released to catalyze the desire, and adrenaline is also released to create a sense of urgency. This process can reprogram the frontal lobe, which is the part that is in charge of decision making. Okay? And when it is in charge of decision making and it has been compromised, it can lead to making irrational decisions. And when you make these irrational decisions, they seem to be rational. This reprogramming is what results into bad decisions or dangerous ones. But by the time you are making them, they seem to be rational and you can justify them. So serotonin tries to regulate the dopamine overproduction, but it is being curtailed or downregulated. So the more dopamine results into pleasure. Then poor serotonin produces the following symptoms. If you have poor serotonin production, which cannot regulate cannot regulate dopamine, then Its poor production of serotonin brings the following symptoms in men and women. In men, there is ADHD, which simply means attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. This is a condition that affects people's behavior, like being careless and lack of attention to detail, or continually starting new tasks before finishing old ones. So there is no task that will be finished satisfactorily. Poor organizational skills and inability to prioritize issues or things. You continually losing or misplacing things, and you forget things. I just put that cup here. Okay, you are given a cup, you put it somewhere and you forget where you have put it. You're given money, or you take money, you put somewhere, then you start looking for it. You take a biro or a pencil, pin it up or put it on your hair, and then you forget where that thing is. There are those that are normal, there are those that are extreme. It's a result of ADHD. You can get into alcoholism, and then the worst that brings the death is anger or killings. You develop anger and rudeness. And this can also lead to sex addiction and drug addiction in men. But in women, there is anxiety, depression, and emotional sensitivity. And some of the time, you gain weight. So emotional sensitivity and anger and rudeness, these are the things that leads to killing or murder. Dear friends, remember, all this was because of unmet expectations, which is reward. It's because you were not given reward when you wanted it now. Dr. Wangui again says, it is sad to observe the current rise in intimate partner and domestic violence that is being reported by the media almost daily. She quotes the report from the media and the Gender Violence Recovery Center that showed a rise in domestic violence. She says that in USA, 1 in every 5 women and 1 in every 7 men reported physical violence by their partners in their lifetime. The Kenya Demographic and Health Survey Report 2014, page 291, indicated that 39% of women and 9% of men had reported spousal violence. As I had explained earlier, changes in thoughts and processes results into violent behavior. These are destructive thoughts in the abuser towards himself and the partner. We can conclude that emotionally needy people turn abusers. Something that love euphoria blinded the partner from reading earlier, because they were so much engrossed in love because of dopamine production. This feels good, I want more. This love feels good, I want more. Serotonin told you, hey, it feels good, but I don't want it anymore. And then prefrontal cortex was compromised. It cannot help you in making decision. So once one has killed, once one has murdered, he or she may do it again. You ask yourself why. This is the reason. The hippocampus, which is in our brain, reminds us that the experience will likely be pleasure. If you liked it when you are killing someone whom you thought was going out with another person, or was denying you attention because she wanted to break up with you, or maybe going around with another person, if you felt pleasure in doing so, then a nucleus accumbens, which is a pleasure and reward center of the brain, activates the desire in our body and in your body to kill another person whom you will get in love with and start behaving. Remember, the problem is not with the person, the problem is with yourself. So why are people killing each other? Some of these biological processes that is happening in us. And these biological processes, falling in love is just one of the contributing factors that will help in destruction or compromise of prefrontal lobe or cortex. Okay? There are so many contributing factors that can help in this, can contribute towards the destruction of this thinking part of the brain. But now, most of these who kill each other either are obsessed, okay, and we have seen where obsession comes from, and addiction, and this can also be a love addiction that contributes to this. When you've had someone telling you, I cannot live without you, and you are the one who gives me happiness. You are the source of my happiness, and I cannot do without you. If you leave me,